Hello, welcome to Creekside Acres. It's snowing and raining, so I won't be doing much work outside today. So I'm going to talk today about cold stratification and seed sowing. This is something I did or started back in January, and today we're going to look at how far they've got and what we're going to be doing with them in the future. Okay.
A quick biology lesson from the RHS. Flowers would be fertilised by bees and pollinating insects or wind, spreading the pollen from flower to flower. This in simple form is when a male pollen grain released from a male anther meets the stigma, the female part of a flower. The grain germinates and travels down from the stigma into the plant ovary, within or just behind the flower. Then fertilization happens, when the nucleus of the pollen and the ovary's eggs fuse to become an embryo. Seed is then formed as the embryo develops. Nutrients from the parent plant build up the seed's food reserves to aid its survival and early growth. It then loses water. The seed coat hardens and is ready for dispersal. Seed can either drop on the soil close to the parent plant. Some plants have developed ways to disperse seed by pinging it away, or windborne, or animals eating seed or carrying them on their coats to help survival and spread the population. These seeds gathered by us can be dried further and stored in a dry container. Some seeds require a winter and spring to trigger them into germination. We call this cold stratification, and we can mimic this by storing them in the fridge. I chose a selection of wildflower seeds from various companies. One of them was based in BC, so they're not actually flowers that are maybe that you can find in Manitoba, but they are Canadian native plants. The black elderberry I want to grow because it has memories of my parents, really, so it's just more of a memory rather than actually what I want to use, though elderflower wine is very nice, or elderflower champagne. Joe Pyeweed I know is very good for butterflies and is a good pollinator. A xeriscaping meadow mix, that is a meadow mix that needs less water, so it's very good in drought conditions, which we seem to be experiencing at the moment. Mascari, that is a woodland bulb that you can grow by seed apparently, so we'll have to see if that comes up. Yellow rattle is a very famous, popular wildflower that helps get rid of grass. So you plant it and the grass seems to disappear around it as the plant matures and gets bigger. And a Shasta daisy, that's another pollinator. This one, Angelica, is more of a commercial domesticated variety, but I still love it for its very tender white flowers that the pollinators love. And then we get into 6 varieties of seeds here that were grown in Manitoba. So the swamp milkweed, which is good for the monarch butterflies, and I hope that grows in the garden and we can actually spread that a little bit. A tall cone flower as well, that's very good for pollinators. And wild bergamot, I believe you can make a type of tea out of that, so we'll see what that grows. Canadian anemone, that's another woodland plant. And then the wild columbine is actually one of my favourites, so it would be really nice if I could get this growing in the wood. And then we have turtle head, which is actually nothing I've ever seen before, but we will see if we can get that to grow.
This is my method of making these mini greenhouses to sow my stratified seeds in. I took a milk jug and cut it into 2 halves, leaving a strip for a hinge. Then sowed the seed onto or into a compost mix, then put a label inside and duct taped the cut shut and left the cap off for natural watering. Some of the plants are not showing yet, so patience, Richard. The mistake was to use permanent marker to label the jugs, as the marker has rubbed off and I can't tell what is in each one until I open them up, and then I will be able to see the labels that have got pencil writing inside. I have carefully drilled 6 holes in the bottom as well, because it needs drainage in case they fill up with snow or rain. So they've been sitting outside all the time since I did them in January of this year. I am presuming that this one might be the seed mix, as there are lots of different shapes of leaves in there. I'm going to show you how I'm going to turn one of these milk jugs into a mini greenhouse. I just like to mark two dots here that I'm going to make my cut mark from for the hinge. So the hinge comes on the handle side, and then I'm going to drill some drainage holes in the bottom. Just in case we fill up with too much water, too much rain. And then I'm going to do the 2 holes in the handle. And then I'm going to cut away from the handle and try and keep it as parallel as possible to the bottom. And then join up with the other hole that I've, and then you've got the hinge there, you've got the holes there in the bottom for drainage. And so what we're going to do is we're going to fill this up with soil, but this is potting compost. I'm not using seed compost because it's very expensive, so I've just been using a bit of potting compost, which I can get locally. Otherwise I have to drive 100 kilometers to get the really expensive stuff. And then I'm going to put some lettuce seed in this one because it's still too cold to sow outside. So I would just like to have a few lettuce grown on like this that are hardened off, that can go out when they've grown a little bit. So I'm just taking a pinch of seed and just spreading it around in here. So that should be enough. So now I need to put these back in the packet. And then that's got the lettuce seed in there. And then I'm going to sprinkle some of this perlite instead of putting soil on there, just so it's like putting soil on, and it just dries it out a bit and gives a good base for the seeds to come through, the seedlings, the shoots to come through. So then that's done, and then I put this back down. Oh, nearly forgot to label it. So lettuce, 3rd of May.
just to see how long it'll take for them to come up. Then this is going in there, and then what I will do is I will take some duct tape and I will wrap it round here all the way round 2 or 3 times, just so it's shut. The potting compost was moist, so especially if it carries on raining like it has been, the liquid, the water, the rain or the snow goes down through there. If it looks a little bit dry when you peep in through there, you can add water easily through just putting a bit in there. But that is all what I do to make these little mini greenhouses, and it recycles milk jugs.
Okay, that's it for me. I've had a good time talking to you. I hope I haven't been too boring. If you've got any questions or comments, please put them down below in the comment section, and I will see you soon with another subject that I will research and photograph and share. Bye bye.